Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. For a change this week, I decided to do a short video on what builds I plan to play for Leaguestart and maybe cover a little bit about each of the build and my thoughts and worries about for, for for each of them. Okay, before I start, let me cover a little bit about the routine that I go through for every time I plan to play in a new league. So basically, I usually build up uh, a build that I wanted to play based on unique interaction that I want to try, or maybe just uh, whatever skill that I somehow have an interest to play. And thankfully, recently, GG has been updating their patch notes much earlier. The like usually immediately after the reveal of the league. So it really helps me to plan for the build that I plan to play. And usually I build up I theorycraft a couple, and then I just like maybe pick one of them like right before league start, and then maybe play a second and third out of the list. And I usually don't plan a build like like after the league launch. So and I also don't play all of them most of the time. It's like usually let's say I plan maybe six, I theorycraft maybe six of the build, and then I play three. So the remaining three usually I put it in my backlog, and I carry it forward to the next league and update them, and maybe depending on the viability of the league of the bill, uh, with changes from the next patch, then I'll do the process all over again. Okay, first up, well, in no particular order, is the Ice Crash of Cadence Slayer. So basically, this is a transfigured gem of Ice Crash, where the difference from the base gem is that Ice Crash of Cadence hits alternately with your main hand and offhand, and your main hand will be your high damage Ice Crash, and your offhand will be your large AoE Ice Crash. So basically, from the patch notes, there's two changes to the build that I actually salvaged from my Glacial Hammer Slayer. First up is the buff to Transfigured Gem. Initially, if I'm not mistaken, it gives 50% more damage from the main hand for the stronger Ice Crash, and now it gives 80%. So 30% more damage multiplier increase from the previous version. And Yoke of Suffering um that I u- that I use from my Glacial Hammer Slayer now has a range of increased damage taken from 5% uh, to the new version will be 5 to 10%. So you can roll up to 10% increased damage taken per elemental ailment, which can gives us 40% at maximum for chill, freeze, shock, and ignite that we will inflict with the bill. So some key uniques that we'll be using is Paradoxica and Savior. So dual wielding swords. Fourth vow body armor with divine flesh for tankiness. So we have like 100 over 1000 effective hit pool. Uh, Ralakesh's impatience and combo with Maven's belt Arn's anguish. For well basically utilizing this unique interaction that personally I think is quite OP, but yeah, I just want to use it. So these are the stats that I uh, copy pasted from my plan POB. Getting 26 million DPS, so usually basically quite a lot, because I usually plan my build like anything above 5 million is playable enough for me. So like 26 million is definitely more than enough. This is for for pinnacle bosses, not war bosses, by the way. And anything else? Well, maybe my concern for this build is the AoE radius. So we'll see. I think it's large enough because I think the second AoE radius is like 3.6 meter, but I don't know how it's going to play. But the good thing is because it doesn't play like a traditional slam build with Warcry, so you can have a decent enough attack rate to make it smooth to play. Anyway, let's move on to the next build. Okay, next up is Lightning Groundslam Slayer. So basically, we're using a transfigured Groundslam with it, which is Groundslam of Earth Shaking. Uh, the changes from the difference of this transfigured gem with the base version is that it has higher damage but lower attack speed, and also larger AoE because of there's a line that gives like increased angle, so it functions like the old ground slam with threshold jewel, if anybody still remembers. We're doing full lightning conversion using brain rattler, which gives 50% face to lightning, and the rest through gear or support gem, depending on where the build is. So basically, I wanted to build this to inflict shock because Brain Rattler has a line that gives like 300% deals 300% more shock enemy as if hitting with 300% more damage, something like that. I can't remember. So basically, for it's easier to shock with Brain Rattler. A chill from Mace Mastery, and also there's additional Brain Rattler effect that gives enemy with shock will be inflicted with slower movement speed and cast speed or something. So this is something that people don't really you can't really see the effect inside the POB, but uh, inflicting slow is a very good uh, defensive mechanics because you basically slows enemies attack or spell casting, which in turns helps you tank better and kill them faster before they even have a chance to attack you if it's a normal mob. So some of the uniques use Brain Rattler, also using Force Vow and Divine Flash like the previous Slayer build. And again, Relakesh Impatient and Un's Anguish because I don't know, I I don't think they nerf Relakesh enough because you can simply replace the movement speed nerf with a Quicksilver Plus. So with one plus slot, you basically gain the function of having maximum charges and also the interaction with Maven's Belt. So yeah, I think it's just too powerful to pass up. These are the stats. We're getting 40 million DPS and decent enough effective hit pool because we're using Fourth Vow and Divine Flash. And uh, yeah, that's about it. Okay, next is Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing Pathfinder. This is a new transfigured gem that will be introduced this league. And basically, I'm just wondering the potential that it has. Will it be able to mimic the old Poisonous Concoction before it was nerfed? Uh, will it be playable uh, depending on the flash sustain? And basically, I'm just wondering what uh, uh, what is the potential of this transfigured gem? Because Poisonous Concoction before it was nerfed is a very solid league starter, a very solid skill, and to be fair, you can actually bring it all the way to end game even. So I'm just wondering if this is the new end game version of Poisonous Concoction because the base version is basically I would say dead because it consumes one life flask per projectile. That was the latest nerf that it got hit with. So because it's usually played with a lot of multiple projectile because we're using the shotgun effect to stack like instant stacks of poison DPS. So that version is basically that. And the good thing about this version, however, from the teaser video, you can see that the bounce from the gem itself, it says it's going to bounce in a random direction. So this one gives a potential to bounce back. So that's also huge for poison DPS. And this POB that I generated is based on the assumption that the bounce at least hits twice, it overlaps twice, and there's also the added chaos damage is based on 40% of flash life recovery, because the base version has like 3% uh added damage based on flash life recovery, and the transfigured version gives 30% at level 1, so that's huge. And I think this 40% figure is conservative enough as an assumption. I don't know. So this is something I'm just wondering how it's going to fare. Okay, next up is Puncture Deadeye, featuring uh less use ascendancy, which is Rupture. Rupture basically is a debuff that inflicts that is inflicted when you apply bleeding and also crit at the same time. Rupture basically uh, makes your bleed deals damage faster. So it's also reduces the bleed duration. And actually that's a downside when you play a standard bleed build. But the thing with puncture is that puncture not only has a 100% chance to apply bleed, it also has double the base duration of bleed applied, which is 8 seconds. Normal bleed usually only applies for 4 seconds. So for me, puncture is the best skill to be used with rupture. And coincidentally, it's also in the dead eye ascendancy. So obviously, we're going to be using projectiles with it, the bow version of puncture. So actually, this is an old build that I used to play. The reason I wanted to revisit this old build because for this version I'll be exploiting the Relakash boots and Maven's belt interaction again. I this combo is like way too good for me not to try. So yeah, and this is in my opinion the best version of bleed bow that you can play, because that eye gives a lot of projectile altering mechanics that makes it so that you don't have to play around with uh, s- six link split arrow and six link puncture. This build basically uses just one main skill, which is puncture. So you because we can also chain and have multiple projectile from puncture. So uh, the 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 play style of the build is for me much better compared to traditional bleed bow gladiator, which you like you really have to aim your puncture, you really don't want to miss, yeah. So in my opinion it's the best version. And to be honest, I'm actually leaning towards league starting this the most out of all of the build that I plan. uh, anyway, it's using Relakash and Olisha's Delight, and there's also a helmet, also I would say fairly forgotten, Super Penance, which also gives like uh, bleeding deals damage faster from Frenzy, and because Relakash and Olisha's Delights will be the interaction, meaning would mean that we would stack our Frenzy and what's it called, Affliction charges. So yeah, the build at the moment gives us 25 million DPS, decent enough effective hit pool. Well, for bow character at least. And the thing is, because the build will be using Defiance of Destiny, this is not reflected in effective hit pool because it doesn't stops one shot, but it helps a lot for being shotgun or being burst down by multiple hits from enemy. So yeah, that's the thing. And the good thing about this playstyle is that will be I plan to use Mirage Archer and Mana Forge Arrow to also shoot at the enemy and inflict the bleeding and critical for rupture debuff, because rupture is a debuff that doesn't have to be tied to the bleed itself. So yeah. Okay. Finally is the Shield Crush of Chieftain Juggernaut. This is the Shield Crush that gives us fire damage based on armor of the shield, and the Transfigured Gem is buff for this league. Like previously, it gives 7 to 9 per 15 armor, and now it gives like, what was it, 8 to 12 something at level 20. So yeah, that for me that's a decent enough buff, and I always wanted to play a shield skill before. I never played it, to be honest. So that's on me. So after reading the patch note, it just triggered to me that maybe this is something that's worth playing. So uh, I just cook up Bill over in POB, and we're using Juggernaut. So respectable enough damage as a Juggernaut, even because I'm getting like 11,000. This is after I simulated the updated gem in POB, so this should be close enough, I think, hopefully. And I'm wondering about the AoE and clear, because the build, uh, the quality of the build of the gem changes from previously more damage to now like bigger AoE for the middle overlap. So I don't know how it's going to look like. So this is something I'm wondering at the moment how it's going to be. Anyway, again, Relakash boot and Maven's belt. Also using Brass Dome for our armor, and Emperor's Vigilant with Replica Doom Feather as our shield and main hand. And basically, we're getting respectable enough DPS, and also very tanky as a Juggernaut. 200, 200 over 1,000 effective hit pool. So yeah, I don't think there's much to cover for this build. Okay, finally, thoughts and worries about this league launch. Number one, I'm actually kind of worried about the availability of endgame uniques, because from the patch note, GGG has mentioned that they will be splitting the pinnacle bosses and their uber variants by quite far in terms of map progression. Well, at least based on my understanding. Sorry. Well, at least based on my understanding. And the drop pool will also be split even further. So even though I'm playing soft portrait, I'm just wondering how easy it is for me to gear up based on the changes that's going to happen. So that's one. Number two, um, Ralakash Boot's interaction with Maven is still way too strong, even if after they remove the movement speed, because I don't think I can replicate that kind of payoff using other configurations. So that's why you see all my build that I plan for this league is using the Relakash interaction. I usually don't like this kind of like flat uh flat character power in uniques or gears. But yeah, I think this is probably the only chance for me to play without them nerfing it even further. So that's why all of my build will be using this interaction. And thirdly, I'm actually quite disappointed with the number of Transfigured Gem that GGG releases this league, because it was initially introduced in the previous league, and they have like 4 months between the previous league and this upcoming league. So I was actually initially expecting like more numbers of Transfigured Gem compared to last league, but you know, whatever. You basically doesn't really get my creative juices flowing. And finally, as usual, I'm hoping that whatever build I play doesn't turn out meta or share the same uniques as meta builds, because I just want to gear up for cheap because I usually play the league like maybe like up to 1 month or 1.5 months like maximum. So the sooner I can gear up my character, the better the longer I can enjoy how I'm going to play with my character. And that's about it. Oh, before I end the video, if anybody's asking, sorry, I'm not going to share the POB for my plan build. This is because my principle is that I don't tend uh, I'm not inclined to share something that I personally haven't tested yet, because if anybody asks me a question, I also won't be able to answer because I haven't tested the build yet. So that's why I don't like to share something that I myself I have not confirm it myself. Sorry. And that's about it. And hope you all have a wonderful league launch. And also here's to hoping that my own league launch is going to be smooth as well. All right. Bye.